Matthias, do you want to
Yeah, so I just wanted to
do the
preface,
honors?
if you've been listening to our podcast regularly, you will probably have heard me praise Egill Skallagrímsson as like the coolest guy in the saga literature, and like, he is certainly my favorite. And one of the reasons I really like his saga is because there's this like huge emotional range in it. We get so much. We get basically we're introduced to the mind of these people through emotions, through this character in the literature, and that's why I love his saga so much. And yeah, the this poem Sonatorrek is a great example of how you get in contact with emotions through this story. So yeah, let me begin. It's about, let me see, how many stanzas do we have? It's not short. It's one of the longer poems, just so you know.
Sorry.
You're fine. We're at 25 stanzas, it looks like. Okay, so my tongue is sluggish for me to move, my poem's scales ponderous to raise. The God's price is beyond my grasp, tough to drag out from my mind's haunts. Since heavy sobbing is the cause, how hard to pour forth from the mind's root the prize that Frick's progeny found, born of old from the world of giants. Unflawed, which Braille inspired with life on the craft of the watcher dwarf. Blood surges from the giant's wounded neck, crashes on the death dwarf's boathouse door. My stock stands on the brink, pounded as plane trees on the forest's rim. No man is glad who carries the bones of his dead kinsman out of the bed. Yet I will first recount my father's death and mother's loss, carry from my sword shrine the timber that I build my poem from, leafed with language. Harsh was the rift that the wave hewed in the wall of my father's kin. I know it stands unfilled and open, my son's breach that the sea wrought. The sea goddess has ruffled me, stripped me bare of my loved ones. The ocean severed my family's bonds, the tight knot that ties me down. If by sword I might avenge that deed, the brewer of waves would meet his end. Smite the wind's brother that dashes the bay, do battle against the sea god's wife. And this is pretty cool. He's talking about actually, like, waging war against the gods right there. Okay, good. So
It's a brave man.
Right? Yet I felt I lacked the might to seek justice against the killer ships, for it is clear to all eyes how an old man lacks helpers. The sea has robbed me of much. My kinsmen's deaths are harsh to tell. After the shield of my family retreated down the god's joyful road. Myself, I know that that in my son grew the makings of a worthy man. Had that shield tree reached manhood, then earned the claim of war's arms. Always he prized his father's words highest of all, though the world said otherwise. He shored me up, defended me, lent my strength the most support. My lack of brothers often enters my thoughts where the winds of moon bears rage. I think of the other as the battle grows, scout around and wonder. Which other valiant warrior stands by my side in the peril? I often need him when facing foes. When friends dwindle, I am weary to soar. It is rare to find one to trust amongst men who dwell beneath Odin's gallows, for the dark-minded destroyer of kin swaps his brother's death for treasure. I often feel when the ruler of wealth. And then there's a lacuna because that last portion of that stanza is not, you can't read it in the text. And then we go on to 17. It is also said that no one regains his son's worth without bearing another offspring that other men hold in esteem as his brother's match. I do not relish the company of men, though each of them might live in peace with me. My wife's son has come in search of friendship to One Eye's hall. But the lord of the sea, brewer of storms, seems to oppose me, his mind set. I cannot hold my head upright, the ground of my face, my thoughts steed. Ever since the raging surf of heat snatched from the world the son of mine, whom I knew to shun disgrace, avoid words of ill repute. I remember still when the goat's friend raised high to the gods' world the ash that grew from my stock, the tree bearing my wife's kin. I was in league with the Lord of Spears, pledged myself loyal to believe in him, before he broke off his friendship with me, the guardian of chariots, architect of victory. I do not worship Vilius' brother, guardian of the gods, through my own longing, though in good ways too, the friend of wisdom has granted me redress for affliction. He who does battle and tackles the hell wolf gave me the craft that is beyond reproach and the nature that I could reveal those who plotted against me as my true enemies. Now my curse is tough. Death, close sister of Odin's enemy, stands in the nest. With resolution and without remorse, I will gladly await my own.
There we go. I mean, that's a heavy one,
right? It is awesome.
It is.
You ask me.
Absolutely, but it reeks of depression. Just very.
Right?
It's just very, very heavy and sad. You know, very much about loss,
Mm-hmm.
and that's an interesting perspective on, because you kind of see Vikings as these emotionless monsters, not monsters, but emotionless warriors who feel nothing. You know, their brothers die and they go to Valhalla, and everyone's almost happy about their death.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas I'm sure it wasn't like that. You know, whether you believe somebody went to Valhalla or not, you still kind of will miss them in the physical form.
Yeah, that's really what he's saying right here. Like he definitely based off of the concept of this poem is saying that he expects his son to, you know, be in Valhalla right now, and still he's mourning the loss. This popular idea that, you know, Vikings were like, aha, my homie just died in war, let's drink from his skull, kind of crap. That was not how they thought about things.
No, definitely not. That's such an interesting, like I said, just a different perspective of it, and even, you know, the fact that you're so upset that you want to go to war with the gods because you probably would blame the gods for this happening. It's their, you know, they've chosen for this to happen, and I imagine it's no small thing to say you want to go to war with the the gods. You've got to be pretty upset.
Yeah, no, he's very pissed off here.
Ludwig, I can definitely see how that inspired the latest album.
Yeah,
especially with like I said, that makes my feelings of emotion that I had today even all the more impressive, that you've managed to portray that through music and with, like, literally without words as well. Yeah. That is in such a, you know, in just an instrumental format. I have to applaud you for that.
Thank you.
Because I've never read that poem. That's the first time I've ever heard it, and having the relation to kind of quote unquote the experience I had listening to the album earlier is very, it's very impressive that how closely they link to the way that the poem reads.
Yeah.
And I think didn't Einar Selvig also sing it?
And I really enjoy that version as well.
Yeah, me too.
Because he doesn't use any instruments. It's just, the whole thing, just vocals all together.
Yeah.
And I really like that.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Made so simplified.
Yeah.
That's a brave thing to do.
Yeah.
To just sing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's it has really like this very sort of like when he's singing it has sort of like a dragging feeling in the way that he's singing. I really enjoy that rendition of it as well.
No, that's that like I said, that's beautiful. I'm glad you read that, Mathais. I mean, if I'd have tried to read, I'd have just been spluttering all over the place. So I've got to commend your public reading as well.
Thanks. I mean, I do have some skills out in poetry.